Hey, what's going on everybody? Commander Crane here, and we are back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about the Banned and Restricted List update that just happened today as of the recording of this video, and there's a whole bunch of crazy stuff that happened, including bans and unbans. It's just absolute mayhem right now. Everyone's trying to decide, what metagames are going to be looking like in the future, specifically with Modern, and let's just go and hop right into it here. So, surprisingly, there was one change in Pioneer, and that's Jegantha the Wellspring has been banned, which we're going to talk about specifics as to at least why Wizards of the Coast decided to make those decisions in a little bit. We're just going to go over what has been banned, and Jegantha the Wellspring was banned in Pioneer. And spoiler alert, it was also banned in Modern, along with the One Ring and Amped Raptor, all gone from the Modern format. But the thing is with Modern, there was also a few unbans. They just unbanned Mox Opal and Green Sun Zenith, along with Faithless Looting and Splinter Twin, which is just absolutely crazy. I know people were hoping for unbans, but I don't think we thought we were going to get this many unbans, especially all at one time. And again, we're going to go in depth in just a little bit here. And there's one more format that we still have to talk about, and that's Legacy. And Psychic Frog and Vexing Bauble have both been banned, which is just absolutely crazy with Legacy. So let's go ahead and hop into it here. We're going to just look at what Wizards of the Coast decided to say in terms of all the cards that were affected in all the different number of formats. Okay, so Jegantha the Wellspring is banned in Pioneer. We have monitored the Pioneer metagame closely since our last Banned and Restricted announcement, and it has looked healthy and diverse. The format has a variety of macro archetypes, and all the major decks are well within an acceptable win and play rate. While deck diversity looks good, we believe Jegantha the Wellspring is hurting the format's diversity by reducing the pool of viable cards for many decks. So basically what they're saying is here is like, if you're playing mono red aggro and you're like, oh man, I need a Shieldred removal spell that's cheap. Oh, I'll play the Sure Shot. I always forget the name of the card all of a sudden, which is red, deal 5. I can't play that in my Jegantha deck, so that means I guess I'm not going to play the card. So essentially that's what they're doing, is they want to see less Jegantha and more like spicy different cards that people like to play. And overall, I really do like that decision. It wasn't even something, I play a lot of Pioneer. I didn't even think about really with this angle with Jegantha, but it does make sense overall. So I'm happy that they decided to do that. And I'm not going to talk about it for Modern specifically, but this is essentially the same reason that they banned Jegantha in Modern as well. So the next thing we have to talk about is the One Ring. It's no secret that the One Ring has been a large part of the Modern metagame since its introduction 18 months ago. In the August announcement, we had stated that there wasn't a dominant One Ring deck, and that it appeared in a variety of strategies, even propping up some more fringe archetypes. Well, it does appear in many different archetypes. It also has also sadly become a part of the most dominant strategy in Modern, Boros Energy. The opportunity cost of including the One Ring in nearly any deck is too low, and its presence in events has become tiresome for many players. I can definitely attest to that. Acting as a tool for self-preservation and a source of card advantage, it requires no commitment to any particular color. We believe it is clear, and it has been for many of you, that Modern would be a more enjoyable format without its inclusion, and thus the One Ring is banned in Modern. I couldn't agree more. I've never really liked playing against the One Ring. I kind of stopped playing Modern about right before Modern Horizons 3 came out, just because with how the format was shaping up, and I'll kind of talk about that in a second. But the One Ring, before Modern Horizons 3, One Ring was still just absolutely absurd, and I'm glad that they finally decided to make that decision and ban it. Okay, next, we have to talk about Amped Raptor. Removing the One Ring is certainly a hit to Boros Energy, Modern's most played and most consistently dominant deck, but it also impacts several other strategies. We'd like to ensure that we reduce the overall win and play percentages of Boros Energy directly, though we don't want to eliminate it from the format like we did most recently with Nadu Winged Wisdom. We considered many cards in deciding how to knock Boros Energy down a few pegs, with Guide of Souls, Ajani Nikado Pariah, and Flash Titan of Fire's Fury among them. However, we decided, we landed on Amped Raptor. Each of those options could reasonably be included in a few other archetypes. While Amped Raptor only appears in Boros Energy, Amped Raptor allows for some of the deck's most explosive starts, acting as an energy enabler and a payoff, and often amounting to an extra 1 to 4 mana in the early turns of the game. So Amped Raptor is banned in Modern, and I definitely think they made the right decision there, because once again, Guide of Souls, Ajani, Inflation, they do see play in other decks. It's not just this one, so I do like the banning of Amped Raptor. Who would have guessed that like a mini Bloodbraid Elf, though, would be like that absolutely insane, which again, it's a little bit different, but overall, I do like the decision that they banned Amped Raptor, even though I, of course, love dinosaurs. Amped Raptor definitely needed to go, and I'm happy they made that decision overall. Okay, next part here, which is the part everyone likes to talk about. It is worth noting that this is the beginning of a new era. Many of you have given feedback time and time again about how the good old days of Modern before Modern Horizon sets started increasing the power level of the format and making iconic decks obsolete. After a long consideration, we've chosen an initial list of cards to unban. We'll closely monitor how these cards impact competitive Modern events over the coming regional championship season, and come March 31st, evaluate how things are looking. Did we make Modern a better place? Can we handle a wave of nostalgic and infamous cards to re-enter Modern? Was there something we released that's making Modern less fun? Only time will tell, so let's get into it. For much of Modern's history, artifact decks have been a pillar of the format, with decks like Original Affinity, KCI Combo, and even Lander Control. But it's been a while since we've seen such a strategy be competitively viable. We took a couple shots to elevate artifact strategies in Modern Horizons 2 and 3, but alas, the power simply wasn't there. Mox Opal was banned in 2020 after the introduction of Modern Horizons, which included our good old friend Urza. While opening hands containing Mox Opal can be quite explosive, it's not like we ever stopped printing strong anti-artifact cards. Looking at you, Meltdown and Wrath of the Skies. Our expectations are that the reintroduction of Mox Opal will give rise to several interesting artifact strategies, both anew, without adding any power to strong decks, and so Mox Opal is unbanned in Modern. So, I'd like to say, at least with Mox Opal, because I was actively playing a ton of Modern when Mox Opal was banned. I can tell you that it really felt like Mox Opal died for the sins of Urza. People were kind of leaning toward Urza being the issue, but it was a really, really new card at that time. So we knew that they weren't going to just flat out ban Urza, and that's kind of why they felt like they banned Mox Opal. Was it an issue? Yeah, kinda. Like, I'm not saying it wasn't an issue for sure, but it definitely felt like it was because of Urza and all the good Simic cards they were printing at the time. It kind of felt like that was the reason. But anyways, they unbanned Mox Opal, and I'm happy with it to come back in the sense that, again, artifact decks really haven't been relevant other than like Hammer Time, but Hammer Time I don't think is going to want a card like Mox Opal, so I'm really happy that they're deciding to bring back Mox Opal. Okay. Next, a card that I've never played with in Modern. Green Sun Zenith has been banned in Modern since 2011. Banned during a time where green decks were too strong. The card offered a level of consistency and flexibility that was difficult to combat, often narrowing the range of cards you'd consider playing. In fact, the logic we used to ban Gigantha this time around applies to why Green Sun Zenith was banned in the first place, but that was over a decade ago. So with Green Sun Zenith, like, obviously there's that, and then there's the shuffle effect. I didn't put that here, but they kind of ramble on about how a lot of the really, really good utility creatures you can't grab with Green Sun Zenith because Green Sun Zenith only grabs green cards. It doesn't just grab like any card. So that's kind of what they go into detail about and why that it's perfectly fine to bring back. And I've kind of talked about Green Sun Zenith for a while, like, oh, you can do Dryad Arbor things, but with how Modern is as a format now, I think Green Sun Zenith is perfectly reasonable, and I'm definitely happy that it's coming back. And you want to know what? I love Green Sun Zenith. I've played it a lot in Commander, I've played it a lot in Legacy, and I always thought it was a fun card to play. So I'm very, very happy that Green Sun Zenith is coming back to Modern. Just overall, I think it's going to be awesome for the Modern format. All right, next, back in 2019, after Pro Tour Barcelona, it was clear that Hogak was stronger than intended. Yeah, no kidding. One of the cards that died for Hogak's sins was Faithless Looting, but Faithless Looting had propped up in a multitude of strategies. Arclight Phoenix, Hollow One, Dredge, and even some fair mid-range decks featured cards like Young Pyromancer, In-Season Pyromancer all played Faithless Looting. Yes, they did. Yes, they absolutely did. Now, 5 years later, we're interested in seeing what Faithless Looting can do without a certain giant avatar rearing its ugly head. Much like with the discussion of Mox Opal, we've introduced several anti-graveyard options into Modern since Looting's removal, namely Endurance and Boggart Trawler. Faithless Looting is unbanned in Modern. I think I do like this. And the reason I like Faithless Looting is not because I think it's going to be necessarily healthy for the format, but people love playing with Faithless Looting. And I think that, kind of similar to Standard, what they're trying to do now is reintroduce old cards into Standard, like a reprint, to bring people back that love playing those specific cards. I think this is kind of what this reminds me of. And overall, I think I'm happy with it. I don't think Izzet Phoenix is going to be the problem that it once was. Again, especially with cards like Endurance. I don't include Boggart Trawler. I don't play a lot of Modern, but as far as I know, I didn't realize people were playing a lot of Boggart Trawler. I just think Endurance is just that good. But overall, I think I'm happy with this change, and we'll kind of see what happens moving forward, at least with Faithless Looting. And then, last but certainly not least, it's a question for the ages. Would Splinter Twin be strong in today's Modern? Twin was banned back in 2016 after consistently being at the top of the metagame and taking down a few Pro Tours. The fear of tapping out into 3 open mana and dying was real. Do you hold mana open for removal or try to progress your board state in hopes of getting the game over before they can assemble their 1-2 punch of Pestermite and Splinter Twin? History tells us that replacing Splinter Twin with Kiki-Jiki Mirrorbreaker doesn't cut it. So, can 8 years of format evolution keep the Twin combo deck in check? We think it can. Answers exist that once didn't, including several 0-mana cards that keep you alive if the opponent decides to tap out for their 4-mana enchantment. Solitude, Force Negation, Force of Vigor, and Flare of Denial have all seen competitive play in Modern, and each of them can solve the play patterns that Twin decks once exhibited. So, I think it's kind of funny, because I think it was Andrew Brown, about a year ago, laughed at the fact of Splinter Twin being unbanned, and definitely gave the vibes of, yeah, we're not unbanning Splinter Twin, now please stop about it. So, I was surprised in the sense that they finally did it. But yeah, my personal opinion, at least with this, and I'll get into this in a second, I think Splinter Twin is going to be fine in the format. I don't even think it's going to be super good. I think it's going to be like a solid deck, but nothing too crazy. But anyways, that's pretty much everything, except we got to talk about some Legacy here real quick, which I'm not an expert on Legacy. I haven't played it in a while, but we're going to go ahead and read through this. This same effect is seen in Dimir Murktide lists. That's kind of referencing Psychic Frog here above. Psychic Frog is strong enough to prevent folks from exploring adding white, red, or green to these blue-based tempo decks to increase the diversity among existing archetypes. While not completely removing them from the format, Psychic Frog is banned. In addition to discussing Psychic Frog, we also went over some cards that we could ban to reduce the strength of Dimir Reanimator, which Psychic Frog was like one of the absolute best cards in that deck. Specifically, in Entomb and Reanimate, it's our belief that removing either would not solve the issue of Dimir Reanimator having a solid, fair game plan, as the deck leans on the threat of Psychic Frog when folks are packing Graveyard Hate. Also, it is possible that the removal of either Entomb or Reanimate could be too strong in a blow to Reanimator strategies, removing them from the metagame completely, and I definitely agree to that. Like, there's some other niche options you could substitute, at least for Reanimate, but yeah, I agree. Like, if you get rid of Entomb, like, that deck is, like, oh, I mean, it's severely weakened with Reanimate. It's kind of like this weird middle ground where you either do too much or too little. And I think just getting rid of Psychic Frog, I think, is going to be good enough, at least for the time being. But we'll see what happens. And then one of the pillars of Legacy is free counter magic. It is part of the glue that holds the format together. When certain strategies can ignore this pillar at very little cost to their primary productive game plan, or proactive game plan, the format can begin to fall apart. Decks like Mystic Forge combo, Painter Servant combo, and other red Ancient Tomb decks are happy to include a 1-mana artifact that can replace itself when it's no longer useful. While the inclusion of Vexing Bauble is a rather recent development in the Legacy metagame, it has proven to be a successful and powerful one. With a concerning win rate among decks that include multiple main deck copies of Vexing Bauble and its inherent strength against the pillar of the format, it has been banned in Legacy. Yeah, I agree. I think the thing is with, like, Vexing Bubble's a kind of card that they printed to help balance out Modern a little bit, just because, oh, hey, we're printing out all these new free spells, so we're going to give you something that helps counteract the free spells, which Modern is not about free spells, but Legacy and Vintage have countless free spells. So when you take away a pillar of the format, by adding in a card like Vexing Bauble, it definitely makes sense that they would just decide to ban that in Legacy and Vintage, because again, like, there's a lot of 0-mana stuff, like whether or not you're playing, you're paying 0 mana for spells like Force of Will or anything like that, or just other, Cheerio shenanigans, whatever it is, Vexing Bauble makes sense to just be banned. And I know it is restricted in Vintage now, so it's also banned in Legacy, which definitely makes sense. So the last part of the video here, I just want to give my final thoughts on what I think about the Banner Restricted update here. So for Pioneer Pro, I'm a big fan of banning Giganta. Did I think it was necessarily an issue? Not necessarily. but I do think it was a good idea that they banned it. It's always annoying just seeing Gigantha. It was kind of like how Lurrus used to be a while ago, where it was just Lurrus. Like every table you sit down, oh, it's Lurrus and Lurrus, Gigantha and Gigantha, Lurrus and Gigantha. It just gets really, really annoying. So I'm definitely glad that they decided to just go ahead and ban Gigantha in Modern and Pioneer. Overall, in terms of the One Ring and Amped Raptor, I'm very happy about both of those bans. One Ring, completely obnoxious. Amped Raptor, a cool card that I just don't know if they fully understood its strength or how good it would be in an energy shell, and just single-handedly be able to just play a bunch of good Boros, like Modern Horizons 3 cards. I don't think they really understood how strong it was going to be, but overall, I'm glad that they made that change. Now, with the unbans, I would say the unban I'm the least excited about, I'd say it's probably Mox Opal in a way, but I think I'm unhappy in multiple different ways. So at least with Mox Opal, it just means that we're one good artifact or maybe two away from just like Mox Opal being a potential issue again. But overall, I still think I'm all right with it. Green Sun Zenith, the only issue I have with Green Sun Zenith is the constant shuffling. It's just shuffle. A part of the reason I like playing Pioneer is there's not a lot of shuffling. So like now if I want to play this green card, I have to just shuffle. And if my opponent's playing Green Sun Zenith, then shuffle. Oh, I'm going to fetch, and then I'm going to shuffle. And then I'm going to Green Sun Zenith for 1, and I'm going to grab this Noble Hierarch, and then I'm going to shuffle again. Like, it might just get tedious over time, just with the constant shuffling, but I don't think it's going to be a big deal. Faithless Looting, I'm happy that people that like to play those decks can play Faithless Looting, if that makes sense. Again, I'm going to lose to Faithless Looting a lot if I start playing a Modern again, but that's perfectly fine. And then Splinter Twin, I'm surprised they brought it back. I mean, you know, I laugh, a while ago, I bought Splinter Twins as like a spec, and then, like, I had them for, like, almost 2 years. And I was like, yeah, all right, they're not going to unban this card. So I sold mine at MagicCon Chicago, and then here we are. They unbanned it, so now I probably lost out on a decent amount of cash that I could have used to buy some other cards. But I digress. Like, overall, I'm happy with Splinter Twin. And again, I think it's going to bring some excitement back to the format a little bit, where a lot of people have moved off the format because a lot of their old good cards haven't been able to see play. So now, like, hey, dust off your Arcbound Ravagers. Mox Opal's back. Dust off your Dryad Arbors, because guess what? Green Sun Zenith is back. I don't know. I think it's going to be cool. And then with Legacy, I don't have a lot to say in that because I don't play the format a lot. But from what I've been seeing, Psychic Frog definitely needed to be banned, and it's definitely a good thing that it was banned. So hopefully the format just gets a little bit better for everybody that likes to play it. So that's all I've got for everybody. And definitely let me know what your comments or, you know, your comments and your opinions are in the comment section, just because I'm very, very interested to see what you guys think of these recent BNR updates. So that takes us to the end of the video here. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. We are on our way to 1,000 subscribers, and if you want to be part of the huge giveaway that's going to happen, you're definitely going to want to be subscribed so you don't miss it. Huge shout out to our channel members, Ralph, Matt, Arcadius, Ray, Gary, Sir Winoki, and Night Red 3. If you were interested in being a channel member, it's only $1 a month, and you get access to the exclusive Commander Crane Discord, as well as other features here on the channel. So, I'm Commander Crane. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope to catch you in the next one.